Hi, we're Ariel,
and Michelle,
and
and
we're
we're
the
the
board
Board
game
Game Tutors.
tutors.
And today we're doing our part 2 of our advanced concepts for the Swamp Orcs Faction from the Summoner Wars Master Set. So let's get started.
Here's the starting setup card. This is how you set up your beginning army. Flip it to the other side, and you'll see it's just all your event cards. You can see you have 15 vine walls, and they're listed separately from the rest of the event cards. And then turn phase summary, like usual. All right. Then you got a vine wall here. We've explained them in the previous video, so we won't spend a lot of time going over those. But they go off to the side over here, as you can see. And if you flip it over on the other side, a short summary, doesn't look that short, does it? A short summary of the rules for vine walls is right here. Basically, what you want to remember, the one thing I didn't emphasize strongly in the previous video was the fact that um, when you do a vine wall, you can summon units from that vine wall as long as there are not walls on those spaces. So if you had two vine walls right here, that would be you could summon here, 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 but not here in relation to this wall, and not here in relation to this wall. Okay?
Okay.
And then lastly, we have the regular old walls. You have 3 of these in your deck, like usual, and nothing special on the back. These get shuffled. The only thing you need to know is these get shuffled. The 2 that you have remaining, because you obviously start out with 1. The 2 you have left over, they get shuffled into your draw pile.
Just like any other walls in any other faction. Okay, here's Mugglug, the summoner of the Swamp Orcs. His attack value is 3. He's a melee fighter, and he has 7 hit points. His special ability is called Rampant Growth. Whenever a unit that is adjacent to a wall you control is destroyed, place a vine wall on the space that unit occupied. Mugglug does not have to roll to move off of a vine wall. So as we discussed in the vine wall video, most units of any faction have to roll to see if they escape from the vine wall that they're on, if they move on to a vine wall. But Mugglug is one of the exceptions. He can freely move on to and off of vine walls. So for this ability, it applies to when your faction kills an enemy unit next to one of your walls, any of your walls. So that could be regular wall or a vine wall. It also says whenever a unit that is adjacent to a wall you control is destroyed. So it sounds like even if one of your units is destroyed next to a wall you control, you still get to put a vine wall there.
So let's say Mugglug is feeling particularly bloodthirsty today. He's an orc, so not that surprising. Let's say he was right here. Here is a regular wall. You can tell by the 9 hit points, and it doesn't say vine wall. Let's say Mugglug wanted to be bloodthirsty. He rolls 3 dice against his own shaman. Wow, all of them missed. He wasn't feeling that bloodthirsty, obviously. Okay, let's say one of them was successful. Shaman only has 1 hit point. I rolled a 5. The shaman is now dead, and as part of rampant growth, the vine wall appears there because it has to be next to a wall that you currently have, one of your regular walls or one of your vine walls. So the same thing could have happened here. If Mugglug attacks someone there, then he killed a shaman, then that would be replaced with a vine wall. However, most of the time, you're not going to want to do this with your own units because that's just kind of inefficient. You're getting rid of your own units, and they could be helping you attack the enemy army. So what you want to do normally, most of the time, is to do this to enemy units. So that's an enemy shaman, in this example anyway. You kill it, vine wall goes there. And so, yeah, that's one of the main ways you can get vine walls out onto the field. He doesn't have to be the one to kill him.
Right.
It can be one of your champions. It can be one of your commons, but that's just one thing that could happen.
Yeah. So whenever a unit you control, whenever any unit is destroyed next to a wall you control, it immediately gets replaced with a vine wall.
Right. So that is Mugglug, and we're going to deal with the shaman next because we accidentally skipped that.
Oops. Okay, so this is one of the common units for the Swamp Orcs. The shaman costs 1 magic to summon, has an attack value of 1, is a ranged fighter, and has 1 hit point. His ability is Vinemancer Guard. When an opponent rolls to attack this shaman, if the shaman is adjacent to a vine wall, it only receives wound markers from die results of 5 or higher during that attack. This shaman does not have to roll to move off of a vine wall. So as the name implies, the vine walls basically protect the shaman. So If he's next to a vine wall when he's attacked, it's a lot harder to hit him. You have to roll a 5 or a 6.
So if he was here, here, or here, then he would only get damaged by 5s or 6s, like Michelle said. And because when units are on top of a vine wall, they are considered to be adjacent to that vine wall, he is also protected when he is on top of the vine wall.
Yeah, that's important.
So basically, he is weak, but he's harder to kill, especially when you have him next to vine walls. So it's not a guarantee he will survive, but it's a lot less likely he'll get hurt.
Okay. That's also helpful because he only has 1 hit point. Then we have the Hunter, another common of the Swamp Orcs. He costs 2 magic. He has an attack value of 1. He's also a ranged fighter, and he has 2 hit points. His ability is Vine Mancer Ambush. If this Hunter moves onto or off of 1 or more vine wall spaces during this turn, add 1 to its attack value until the end of this turn. This Hunter does not have to roll to move off of a vine wall. So like Mugglug, he isn't harmed by vine walls. He can freely move over them.
Shamans are too.
Oh, yes. Shamans are too. And so basically this Hunter is strengthened in his attack whenever he goes over vine walls.
So yeah, you can imagine that you can see, well, it's a little sorry about that. You can see he has vines all over his arms if you zoom in on the picture there. So he basically picked up vine spears, I guess, when he climbed on top of the vine wall. So what he needs to do is, let's say he was next to this vine wall here, he would have to simply move onto it, and now he doesn't roll 1 die, he rolls 2 dice. Or, let's say, for example, he started out his turn on this vine wall at the beginning of the turn. If he moves off of it, then he also starts out with 2 dice when he attacks. Not starts out, but he has 2 dice for that 1 round.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you might do this and then this. Sometimes you might just go onto a vine wall. Sometimes you might just come off a vine wall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the Hunter.
Okay, and then the third kind of common unit is called a Savager. He costs 4 magic, so as you can tell, he's quite valuable. He rolls 3 dice. He's a melee fighter, and he has 3 hit points, which is one reason he's so valuable. Now, his special ability is something that really will upset your opponent. It's called Fear. Each time a common enemy unit moves adjacent to the Savager, roll a die. On a result of 5 or higher, discard the moved card. So basically, he's so scary that when your enemy's common units move beside him, especially if they have to do a melee attack, then they have to go adjacent to him. They might just get scared and run away and not get to do their attack, and then you've lost that unit permanently.
So, in our experience, this happens kind of a lot, even though it's only 5s and 6s. But then again, maybe it doesn't happen that often. It just is that annoying
And memorable
when you move next to him. So, for example, let's say the shaman started out here. Let's pretend it's not a shaman, it's just an enemy unit, a generic enemy unit. It goes 1, 2. Okay, he's adjacent to the Savager. It says here, roll a die. So I think it doesn't matter who rolls it, but maybe the person controlling the Savager rolls it, for example. Okay, he rolled a 4. A 4, 3, 2, and 1 means this shaman is still alive. Yay. No, this common unit is still alive. But if you rolled a 5 or a 6, that unit is immediately discarded. So let's say, for example, it was a common that you had to pay 3 magic for. Now it's just gone. Like the 3 magic you spent away, they just get wasted pretty much.
Yeah, it doesn't go to anyone's magic, right?
Yeah, it just goes straight to discarded. So that can be really, really frustrating. And obviously, this guy rolls 3 dice. So that's pretty scary if you're an enemy unit. You don't want your summoner anywhere near a guy with 3 dice. And he's a melee fighter, so he'd have to be right next to you. Mm-hmm. One of his disadvantages, though, that's very important, it does not say he doesn't have to roll to go off of a vine wall. So if there are vine walls on the field, the person controlling the Savager has to be careful because the Savager can get trapped in a vine wall and can get hurt. Mm-hmm. So that's that.
Okay, and then we have the 3 champions of the Swamp Orcs.
First one, his name is Glarg. They have very flattering names, as you can tell. Mugglug as well, too. He rolls 2 dice. He costs 5 magic. He's a melee fighter, and he has 6 hit points. His special skill, Vine Mancer Reach. When Glarg is on a vine wall space, add 1 to his attack value and treat him as if he has the bow symbol instead of the sword symbol. So the long-range attack symbol instead of the melee symbol. Glarg does not have to roll to move off of a vine wall. So when he is on a vine wall, he is not a melee fighter, he is a ranged fighter, and he has one extra die, so he becomes a 3 dice champion. So can be a very useful champion, but yes, he's pretty straightforward overall. Okay, switching to the next champion. Now we have Blurg. He rolls 2 dice. He costs 7 magic, so most expensive champion I think in this deck. He is a melee fighter. He is a melee fighter, and so he can only attack adjacent to him, and he has 6 hit points. His special ability, that's a rather confusing one, but we'll go through it slowly, is Adapt. When Blurg destroys an enemy unit, if that unit would be placed in your magic pile, you may choose to remove 1 moon marker from Blurg. So that's the first part. So if he destroys an enemy unit, and that unit is going to go into your magic pile, now he gets to remove 1 wound from himself. So that can be pretty cool. And then the next part of the sentence, or you may choose to place the destroyed unit underneath Blurg. Add 1 to Blurg's attack value for each unit under this card, up to a maximum of +4. So, with Blurg, you have the choice of 2 things. You can attack somebody, doesn't matter who, it just says anyone, any enemy unit. Let's say he was attacking that guy. If he destroys him and kills him, he can go over here, straight to your magic. And when he does go to your magic, then 1 wound on Blurg can be removed. So that is your first choice. Your second choice is you could take that same unit who is fighting you. If you destroy him, now you can place that unit underneath him. So I'm going to do this because it's a little tricky otherwise. You can put him underneath Blurg. Now, on the next turn, when you attack with Blurg, his attack value goes up by 1 for each card underneath him. So if he has 4 cards underneath him, instead of rolling 2 dice, now he rolls 4 plus 2 obviously is 6. So there's only 1 underneath him right now. He would go up to a 3. So that is Blurg's special ability. Okay. So there's a fair amount of variation that you can do there. You can use it to heal him if he's hurt, or you can use it to
strengthen his attack.
So yeah, he can get pretty fearsome rolling 6 dice. Lastly, we have Splub. He rolls 3 dice. Oh, he's 7, so sorry. He's not. Blurg was not the most expensive. He is the same price. He's a melee fighter, and he has 6 hit points. His special ability, Vinemancer So. When Splub destroys an enemy unit, place a vine wall on the space that unit occupied. Splub does not have to roll to move off of a vine wall. Alright, so you remember how I told you before that Mugglug was one of the Mugglug's special skill of killing someone, and as long as where that person was killed, if it was his unit or an enemy unit, as long as it was next to one of his walls, a vine wall would grow in that space. And obviously, diagonal does not count as next to, so that doesn't work. But Splub can get right into the action, go onto your enemy side of the board, because remember, vine walls can be summoned on your enemy side of the board. Not summoned, but placed on your enemy side of the board. And so Splub can go here. Let's say he was attacking this guy over here. Sorry about that. 1 second. He rolls 3 dice. Okay, I missed twice. That's not great. But I did get 1 successful hit. So this shaman is dead. And he makes a vine wall there, even if it's nowhere close to any of your walls. So that's one way of proactively going after your enemy and putting vine walls on their side of the board. All right.
Okay, now we're going to go over the event cards. First, we have Ambush. Swamp Orcs that you control gain the following special ability until the end of this turn. Vine Mancer Ambush. If this unit moves onto or off of one or more vine wall spaces during this turn, add 1 to its attack value until the end of this turn. This unit does not have to roll to move off of a vine wall. So we have a unit that always has this ability.
It's the Hunter.
That's the Hunter. So when you play this event card, all of your units gain the same ability as the Hunter, which we went over.
Yeah, and so basically this helps, like the Shaman, for example. It can help the Shaman such that he normally only rolls 1 die. If he has Vinemancer Ambush, he can roll 2 if you execute the same move that a Hunter would normally execute. Also, this Vinemancer it's called Ambush. This card can be really helpful to a Savager because Savagers normally do not roll. Normally,
they have to roll to move off of a vine wall, so they can get injured by a vine wall.
Right. So Ambush can make them be able to come through a vine wall area, and not be hurt by it.
During the turn that event card was played.
And also, if you use it with a Savager, this is not a 3 anymore. If you use Vinemancer Ambush, it's not a 3 anymore. This is now a 4. So, pretty scary all of a sudden. The Savager just runs through the vine walls and comes at you. Not awesome.
Okay. Ensnare. Choose up to 2 common units. 1 at a time, place each of the chosen units onto an unoccupied vine wall that is within 4 spaces of that unit. So, as the name implies, Ensnare, basically the vine walls it seems like the vines come off the vine wall and grab a common unit and pull it onto the vine wall.
So, like we said, it says up to. So if you only wanted to do it to 1 unit, you could just do it to 1 common unit. But let's pretend I just grabbed the Summoner. That's not a common unit at all. There we go. Okay, so we got 2 common units that are enemy commons in this example, 4 spaces away. So if you look here, back up a little bit, Michelle. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy could go on top of this wall. 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy could also get dragged on top of this wall. So it's rather versatile. You can get people from pretty far away and yank them onto your vine walls. Now they're stuck on vine walls. They're not completely helpless, though, because they don't get hurt by this. They just end up on top of the vine wall. So you still have to be careful, because like I explained in the previous video, this person can now attack anyone over here. So because this person's a ranged fighter, so you have to be aware. If this person was a melee fighter, like the Savager, for example, he could only attack people that were directly next to him. So there and there. All right.
Okay, next event card. Vine Guard. Swamp Orcs that you control gain the following ability until the beginning of your next turn. Vine Mancer Guard. When an opponent rolls to attack this Swamp Orc, if this Swamp Orc is adjacent to a vine wall, it only receives wound markers from die results of 5 or higher during that attack. So I think this is another one that one of the units has all the time. Yeah, the Shaman has this all the time. But this will basically protect your units it says until the beginning of your next turn. So while your opponent is attacking you, and if you happen to have 2 opponents in a 4-player game, it lasts for both of their turns. So it gives some extra protection to your Swamp Orcs. If they're adjacent to a vine wall, then your opponent has to roll a 5 or a 6 in order to harm them.
Okay. And so you could use that to help your Summoner Mugglug be protected against attacks if he's next to a vine wall. You can use that to help your champions. And it says next to a vine wall, right?
If the Swamp Orc is adjacent to a vine wall.
So, like we also established, if someone's on top of a vine wall, that is adjacent to a vine wall as well. So this protects you in a variety of ways.
Okay. Vine Growth. Choose a wall that you control. Place a vine wall adjacent to the chosen wall.
Okay. Really straightforward. Not that complicated at all. Here's your regular wall. So it says choose a wall you control. So it can be a regular wall or a vine wall. It doesn't matter. You can put a vine wall adjacent to this wall. You can go here, 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 or here. Or let's say, for example, go ahead and I'll do a wide shot, Michelle. Okay. We're going to do this. Let's say you had Splub, for example, and he made a vine wall all the way on the enemy side of the board. Now you can also put another vine wall anywhere adjacent to that wall. So that is vine growth.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you have 3 of those cards. You're going to want to use those wisely to put your vine walls in strategic positions to attack the enemy summoner and basically encroach upon their space and limit their movement so they can't come after you so easily. And also, what was I going to say? Oh, one thing one piece of advice for people who are playing against the Swamp Orcs as the enemy army. Um, one deck one or two decks that would be rather helpful to use against Swamp Orcs, but are not a guaranteed win against them by any means, are both of the Guild Dwarf summoners.
Mm.
They have event cards in their decks that we will go over when we get to the Guild Dwarves that will destroy vine walls. Basically, they do damage to all the enemy walls or to all the walls on the field. So yeah, if you're looking for something to attack vine walls because you're just getting pummeled by them and surrounded with them, Guild Dwarf armies fighting the Swamp Orcs can be a feasible option.
They have event cards that will do enough damage to all the walls that will take out vine walls, because vine walls only have 2 hit points.
Right.
All right, thanks so much for watching part 2 of our Swamp Orcs Advanced Concepts videos. And we'll see you in all our other videos. And we do want to remind you that if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, you're welcome to subscribe to our channel, which we'll be updating regularly.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. See you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.